If you're familiar with Final Fantasy XI, you're probably familiar with the concept of running out of inventory space. It's a problem that's existed since the beginning of Final Fantasy XI, and it's never really gone away. It has gotten better in certain respects with the introduction of different areas of Mog storage, and of course, the Mog Wardrobes, which allow more inventory that you can access for specifically gear when you're out and about in the wild. The reason it's a problem is because every job you can change gear while you're fighting, if you're not familiar with how Final Fantasy XI works. So having gear that is particularly useful for a very small, focused thing, like for instance a specific job ability, or even just while you're casting, is critical. So even one job will have sometimes upwards of 4 or 5 full sets of gear perfecting various minute aspects of the job. Jobs that are incredibly flexible, like Red Mage, Blue Mage, and a number of others, it's even worse because they can do so many things and you've got to plan to account for it with gear, all of those aspects of the job. It's one of the favorite parts of Final Fantasy XI. I love that aspect. It's gotten a little bit worse because it used to be that you could only swap 6 or 7, whatever one single macro could change pieces of gear at a time. With the addition of equip sets, that got to be a full set of gear, your entire palette of gear. And obviously a lot of third-party tools allow for that as well. There's a lot of gear. If you're then playing multiple jobs, most of which have gear that is unique to those jobs, it compounds even further. So everybody's been constantly chasing, since day one and up until now, the ever elusive, how do I get more storage space? Especially while you're literally just out and about in the wild and wanting to change gear sets, the Mog Wardrobes being the biggest addition to that. Back in 2016, Square Enix said, I hear you, and introduced the Mog Wardrobe system, but at a price. I think the initial 2 Mog Wardrobes were free, and Mog Wardrobes 3 and 4 each cost $2 each to get access to. We'll talk about that in a second. They just did it again, introducing up to 8. So I guess we already have 4, so 5, 6, 7, and 8, all of which are continued to be paid premium services. People are divided on that topic. Let's talk about it. So guys, welcome back. If it's your first time here, this is Hunt for Games, where we discuss a lot of Final Fantasy XI, Final Fantasy XIV, and other MMOs and nostalgic games. If you've been here before, welcome back. The Mog Wardrobe system has been pretty divisive since its introduction. It's great to have access to more inventory slots that you can equip gear directly from. You don't need to move them out of them like the Mog case or the Mog sack and stuff like that. You can change your gear directly from the Mog Wardrobes, but I think that the original 2 were free, and then 3 and 4 were $2 each. And even when they came out, there was a lot of comments saying like, look, it's great that you're offering more inventory space. It's concerning that this is going to be a surcharge. It's an element of the game that you introduce tons and tons of equipment that is all incredibly valuable. Even if you're not talking about just nostalgic value of stuff that you can't really use anymore, just like fun to keep around. So they introduced the Mog Wardrobe system, and people were like, you're telling me I got to pay another $4 for, at the time, a game that's like 14 years old, still a fantastic game, but just to get some more inventory? It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Now, for most of the diehard addicts like myself who can't stop playing anyway, $4 was kind of a small price to pay. I didn't like it, but I was like, you know what, this does make my life a lot easier. But flash forward, 6 years later, a lot of the inventory's been used up and consumed by other jobs that I've leveled, and now it's still a constant battle of like, what do I have in my inventory at one time? Bring us today, and I'll cut over to the actual introduction of the site. Mog Wardrobes 3 through 8. Obviously, we already had 3 and 4, but they've just updated the site to include 5 through 8. 5 through 8 are additional premium offerings of $2 every month for each one, which adds it up to all 6 wardrobes is $12 additional, doubling the price almost of the Final Fantasy XI subscription. And that's if you have a single character. Final Fantasy XI prides itself on being a game that really should be experienced through the lens of a single character. You can play all the jobs. It's not something like World of Warcraft, where if you want to play a different class or job in this case, that you need to change your character entirely. You can maintain the same character that you've experienced the world and story in, and just level a different job. But that doesn't change the fact that people still have alts. They want to play a different race. Every one of those alternative characters, I think, is still $1 each for one of those slots. If you have an entirely different account that you're playing with, a sibling, a friend, or just 2 accounts that you run simultaneously, that's a full subscription fee, obviously. If you want to do this on each one, $24, $25 for the Final Fantasy XI subscription fee just became $50. Like that, that's kind of crazy. Now that was an example of 2 characters, but even a single character now with all of the Mog Wardrobe access is $24, $25, which is wild. Or is it $28? Is it $28? Am I paying $16 right now? No, because it's $12 on top of the original $12. I'm mad. Mad stuff. And somebody tell me how much I'm about to be paying. I haven't really checked in a while, but it's in the range of $24 to $30 depending on what's going on with how many characters you got and stuff like that, which is kind of ridiculous. And is that too much to be paying for Final Fantasy XI? Yeah, probably. They are introducing new content, but this money I don't feel like is going into that new content. This is just, they've never really explained why the Mog Wardrobes cost so much more to have. For a long time, they said we cannot possibly expand the storage amount. There's a limitation, PS2 limitations, preventing it. And then they sort of just did one day, and they said, but like it's expensive. And I think it's probably that whatever they're using, at least the way that they're arguing it, is there's a lot of extra overhead in terms of server space and stuff that they had to finagle to do this. But storage in itself is cheap. In 2022, storage at an enterprise level is not expensive, so you have to look at it as if they're really justifying the extra $4. It's the added overhead of maintenance of just like people that understand how all that works and keeping that running, and I find it tough to justify. I don't know what's costing another $12 for all that space. The worst part too is that I could see maybe if it was this crazy addition that they had to do for the initial Mog Wardrobes. But to add more, I can't imagine is as hard as they're making it out to be. So to make it $12, I think they're fleecing us. I think there's no reason this should be $12, an entirely new character for all that storage space. They've never really justified, they've never explained on a technical level. At least I haven't seen it. If you've seen it, please let me know in the description below or in the comments below, or join us on Twitch on Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me know the cause of at least their claims for why this costs so much. But you could literally be playing 2 games. Not that anybody has time because Final Fantasy XI costs it takes so much of your time anyway. But you could be playing 2 MMO full subscriptions for the price of just having some extra storage, which is useful. Don't get me wrong, but at the moment, I don't think I'll be upgrading beyond the 3 and 4. The problem is once they get you, once you have started to put stuff in that storage, if you unsubscribe or you let that subscription lax, you can't get that gear back. You can get it back eventually if you resubscribe, but it's stuck in there. You can see it. It's grayed out. You can't access it until you once again subscribe to it. So it's this weird problem of like, once you start putting inventory in there and you can't think of how to like move it around and get it out, and then you're like, I can't subscribe to this anymore, and you turn off the Mog Wardrobes, it's just kind of stuck in there. I would be curious if anybody knows the answer. If you put like old gear that you just love to use for style locking and stuff like that, if you put it in those Mog Wardrobes and then don't pay for them, can you still use it for style locking? I would suspect you could, but I don't know. It depends how they coded that. Maybe you don't the game is not fully aware that it's in your inventory, even though you can see it. That would be interesting. I guess we could test that with something like the Mog Locker, which is similar, that like when that runs out, you can't access it. I'll have to try that with some of the gear that's in my Mog Locker, because I haven't subscribed to my Mog Locker in a while with those bronze pieces. Anyways, I wanted to bring this up because in general, I love Final Fantasy XI. I love the attention it's getting. I love that Square Enix is putting more effort into making this an amazing game in 2022 with new story content and new endgame content that they're set to release for the 20th anniversary, in addition to anything else they might be ready to surprise us with. But this seems like a way to drag more money out of the remaining fans that have been loyal to Final Fantasy XI and love playing it, but are struggling with the system as it stands, the amount of inventory available to us. Now, there are tools. There's way you can store gear on NPCs and the Moogle porters and stuff like that, and it's very helpful. But it's frustrating that all of that still doesn't account for the fact that if you have a number of 99 jobs with a ton of gear to perfect the incredible power that you can obtain by doing that, you need to really pay some more money for these Mog Wardrobes. It's kind of wild. I don't know why I showed you this site. There's not really much to show. It's you get access. It tells you how to buy it, which is great. Limitations on expired contracts. Oh wait, does this actually say storing items active? Yes. Expired? No. Okay, so you can't move things in and out. Maintenance of stored items. What does that mean? Oh, what maintenance means. Removing of items? No. Item list display, obviously. Equipping of items? No. Ability of equipment to remain equipped? No. Okay. Style lock functionality. Oh, there it is. Style lock functionality. So there's something to be said for if you've got a bunch of style lock gear that is not valuable in any way for just leveling. Pay for the Mog Locker once. Shove all that gear in there. Worst comes to worst, you have to pay for it again 1 month to get access to it. So that's actually good to know that you can style log from that. That's hysterical. That I think is the play here, guys. Free up inventory space elsewhere. The problem is that most of that stuff isn't in my Mog Wardrobes anyway. It's in the Mog safe. Yeah, I'll get more storage somewhere, but it's not the kind of equipable storage that the Mog Wardrobes have made so valuable. But it brings us back to like the golden olden days where if you wanted to change jobs, you had to spend a while swapping gear from your inventory to your Mog safe, so you had the gear for your new job on your person. Kind of crazy thing. We used to do that all the time. It took forever. It took like 5 minutes. Wild. I want to hear your thoughts. I know this isn't the most exciting of topics, but it's rare that Final Fantasy XI introduces any changes to its payment structure. And this is pretty huge. I mean, we're talking if you want to pay for all of the services that Final Fantasy XI offers, all the storage that you can have on a single account, which is not unusual for players of Final Fantasy XI. A lot of players since day one have had another character called a mule that was at least $1 to have that second character slot just to shove stuff onto that you don't really need on a daily basis. But geez, I would be on my mule every day swapping stuff back and forth. Like that's how often I use that. It's wild. It's been a problem since day one, and I feel like Square Enix is just taking advantage of the players loving the game and having no alternative. Unless you want to spend all your time spending constant inventory management, which is basically what I do now. We've had streams that are mostly inventory management. You've got to pay for the Mog Wardrobes, which is a ridiculous fee. Let me know your thoughts. I know it's a bit of a rant. There's no real point. Just, do you think this is it worth it? Is it good that they're adding it? Their argument would be, you don't have to pay for it. You can use the existing Mog Wardrobes 1 and 2 for free, and that's it. Just leave it at that. I want to know your thoughts. Let me know in the description. You can't edit the description. Let me know in the comments below what you think. And join me on Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We can talk about it there too. Still gonna be playing. This doesn't like kick my excitement out of the game, but it is frustrating to see. It feels like Square Enix is kind of saying like, we know we can do whatever we want to. That's how it feels. That's how it feels. I don't feel very appreciated right now for my many years of devoted service to Final Fantasy XI. Anyways, let me know your thoughts. If you do know their reasoning, if they've ever provided any reasoning for why it costs so much, I would love to hear it. I've never seen anything, but I didn't look that hard. Anyways, keep on the lookout for more videos like this. Subscribe if you're new and you want to see more content like this, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Good to see you. Honestly, it's how I feel about 11 nowadays for the more common player. I don't disagree. I think Retail 11 has shifted to a lot of the same pitfalls that modern MMOs like 14 kind of have, that make it